That was just like, oh shoot, that was a brush.
Yeah.
No, no.
If that's rolling.
What the heck?
Well,
Definitely can't put that in there.
That's messed up. Are we supposed to just go right now? All right, all right.
Yeah. That's
We're
funny.
definitely not putting that on.
No,
All right.
so there's just too much craziness in the world, man. Like you know, so anyway, so let's do today's topic. Next topic.
So episode, what is this now? 13 of
12.
Last one was 12.
That's right. Okay.
13. Episode 13 of D'ART Shtajio's vlog. So I'm Henry Thurlow.
I'm Arthell Isom.
Okay, and for people that maybe haven't seen us before, real quick, we are an anime studio here in Japan. We set up a few years back after Arthell and I worked in the anime industry for many years, right?
Yeah,
and so we work on big productions out here as well as produce our own stuff. Though the stuff we've produced so far has been limited to like music videos and kind of shorter things. Okay, so this week we thought we'd give you something I think people have wanted to hear us talk about for a while.
Yeah, everyone asks a lot. They're always constantly. I mean, see, there's been a lot of topics online about it, and you know, people have mentioned it.
So the topic is Japanese work ethic versus maybe Western work ethic, at least American.
I think that's interesting because we call it work ethic, where I think a lot of people have just called it Japanese slavery.
Right,
They've named like, but you know,
so
we're gonna say work ethic.
So let's just set the stage real quick. So you know, there's lots of articles online, and even one prompted by me a few years back on BuzzFeed when they interviewed me, and I was like, all right, I'll tell you the honest truth about how it is working out here. And when I was an in-between animator, this was true. It was morning till night, like get in there at 9, 10 a.m., something like that, maybe a little bit later, 11, but then just keep working 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 hours, right? Non-stop. Every day. Like you could have Sundays off, but it's unthinkable that you're having Saturday off. And every now and then they'll be like, by the way, that Sunday, gonna need you. The schedule is just tight. And you would think, oh, well, with all that working, you must earn tons of money. Nothing. You earn nothing, at least as an in-between animator. Super animators and some directors maybe make some money, right? And as you work in the industry longer, you find ways to. But especially beginners, when I was an in-between animator, it was, at the first studio I worked at, it was one drawing, $1, 100 yen. About equal to $1 in US money. And Japanese anime drawings are crazy detailed, and so it would be like an hour per drawing, meaning that in my giant 17-hour day, I earned $17. And so, yeah, the work hours are really long here. You don't get paid a lot at the end, but you do produce some really high quality work, hand it in, see your name on the credits of this thing that you're super proud of, right? And that's kind of what keeps people going here, I feel. In the West, it's, and I agree with this as a Westerner, as an American, and this is certainly the case when I was working out there. I wanted my Monday to Friday, hey, treat me like a human being, like this is a job, it's not my, it's not my hobby, right? It's my job and it's a career. And so I shouldn't even earn $100 a day. That's too little to, make, pay rent and live a decent life in New York City. It should be closer to $200 a day or something like that. And you'd keep fighting for higher and higher pay and less work hours.
Fight for that $15 an hour.
Yeah.
Minimum wage increase.
That kind of stuff, right? So, and then, yeah, of course, I worked long hours in New York also, but all of a sudden it's 6 p.m., 7 p.m., 8 p.m. Hey, it's time to go home. This is a job, and there's a life beyond the job, and it's time to go home now. I'm not staying until 11 p.m. In the middle of the week, or 1 a.m. or something crazy like that. And so those are the two mind frames. I'm going to throw it over to you in 1 second, but just to set it up for you. So the West, I think, hears about the Japanese work ethic and is shocked and appalled constantly, even when they read my BuzzFeed interview. Oh my God, Henry went through that. That's so crazy. Japan needs to change that. How dare Japan? They're taking advantage of people, et cetera, et cetera. We demand, right? It is kind of the mind frame. So we'll go off on a whole lot of discussion about this in a second, but your thoughts with that setup?
So what are my thoughts? usually I probably have a lot of thoughts, but I think there's like, because based off of what Henry just said just now, like, a lot of things going through my mind. Obviously, we both had kind of similar experiences first coming to work here. I worked in the background, industry, so it was a little different. Like, we didn't get paid $1, per drawing, because we don't do one drawing. Like, we're not doing a series of drawings, right? We're doing a series of paintings that take a little bit longer. So we still get paid, like, low comparative to the West, but we got a little bit paid. We got paid more than the in-betweeners, but it was still a lot of hard work, and low money, and we work crazy long hours. It's a painting, right? You have to finish one painting, and so that however long that they can take. Obviously, when I just started, I was still slow, so one painting, like, if it was super complex, it could take me 3 days for one painting. Now, like Henry said, that's you get paid per painting. So if it took me 3 days or 4 days to paint one painting, that means that essentially my 1 hour pay I got over 4 days, right, or something like that. Well, and then background paintings don't take an hour, right? So the fastest you can generally paint is maybe 4 hours to 5 hours, depending.
And I think even you're lightning fast and really skilled. I think a normal person doesn't get done with at least your level of background in 4 hours. Yeah,
so it and then it's like now, right? And so it just depends, right? So it was really hard, and you have to kind of, you're just at work. You're essentially just living at the studio, and that's kind of, and this is the interesting thing, because it's always based off of your perception of things, right? Because in Japan, they don't actually, you're kind of, they don't force you. Hey, there's no chaining you to the desk, right? Like, and so they don't say you have to stay. I mean, you can go home if you want. Like, you can do one drawing and go home.
Yeah.
But obviously, but there is a kind of cultural pressure, right? Because like, you don't want to go home if you're. And I think that's kind of generally how all of Japan works, right? Like, if you're a senpai and stuff, the senior staff members are still there, and you just started. You don't want to leave before they leave,
that would
right?
mean the newbie, is working less hard than the people who are there and have earned their vacation time, right?
Yeah, they've earned it.
But
the right to go home,
Mr.
Really, right?
Nobody,
you just came in,
who just started 3 weeks ago. I'm going to go home at 6 p.m. because I have a date. And meanwhile, it's like, oh, really? Do you now? And everyone else, you're not going to impress any.
Yeah, and I think that's really what kind of actually. And it's weird because that's part of it, right? Like, it's like that's kind of what keeps this kind of culture the culture of the Japanese work ethic going, is because it really is kind of like that. Like, you feel bad about going. And I read an article earlier today about something totally different. Well, with the whole thing that's happening right now, people are talking about, Japan's really well known for putting pressure and bullying people. So bullying people to wear the mask, and if a coworker is coughing, so they're bullying them to go home, instead of like coming to the office, and so like that really is hard. So I think the West calls it bullying, because the West has their own
and peer pressure.
It's not actually that. I think it really is the community, like, because Japan is based off of or actually Asian cultures are based off of community. So what everyone does together affects everyone.
Everything is everything, right? Everything is connected. So look at how the Japanese section of sports games all of a sudden cleans up the whole area, right?
Exactly. So the West would say, why do they have to clean their own gym,
if this Japanese person sitting right here, and obviously I don't speak for Japanese people, I hope it goes without saying for that, but like, we've lived here for a long time. I think we have some kind of insight, right?
Almost half our life.
If this person is sitting right here, or I'll even put me, if I go to the sports game and I'm with all my Japanese friends, right, and I'm sitting there and my drink drops, right, my cup drops, I know at the very end of the game, everyone's cleaning up. So like, I'm not going to be the one guy even though if I'm in America and I go to a sports game, I'm going to be like, well, someone's going to clean that up later. I don't care.
Everybody, you can see that too. You go to America, you go to the gym.
Of course,
the weights are thrown to the floor.
But I'm saying even I can get pressured by if all the Japanese people I'm around are like all picking up their stuff. I'm like, oh, I'm going to pick up my damn thing, right? Of course I do. So everyone just does it. You know what I mean? Because it's like, yo, this is what we do. This is our.
So it's not our peer pressure. What would you call that? Because that's not peer pressure. It's almost like learned. What would you call it? Learned. What's the word? Here I am with forgetting my words.
Arthell forgets words like crazy. It is ridiculous.
Learned. You don't want to take like 10 minutes just trying to figure out a word, but like I guess what I want to say is that it means like action. Oh learn behavioral patterns. Right? It's like so, and because you do it involuntarily. And then so the West looks at it as peer pressure and like, but actually it's not, because no boss says don't go home. Yeah.
So to bring it back to the conversation of the animation studios, no one is like, you're fired if you leave here at 6 p.m., right? There have been a couple times where I literally had to do something, and I'm like, all right, they even might roll their eyes and be like, American, but I don't care today because I just got to go, right? And then I would break that little rule. And I wasn't fired, right? Yeah. But, of course, generally, I don't want to do that. I want them to look at me and be like, oh, look at this hard worker. Damn, Henry's working hard. And then similarly for everyone else, right? So... So then that's where the differences starts to come, because of course, like you're like, okay, well, is this right or wrong? So when the West looks at it, they say it's wrong. So next question: is this right or wrong? Which is good? Which is bad?
Which is better? So it's interesting because some of the examples that you gave while we were talking, kind of, some of it is positive, right?
Really positive.
Like we said with the example with the baseball, and then even obviously Japanese schools, the kids clean schools. This is all throughout. This permeates throughout Japanese culture, which is the reason why when people in the West comment on things, I always kind of feel like they're commenting from
Western mind
frame without understanding it, right? And so, but then maybe someone out there, a theologian would say, well, that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about the economy of it all, right? And which makes it a different topic, right? Because it's fine to work really hard and to kind of keep the industry going, and this whole kind of let's do this together. But then shouldn't you be paid for it? Like that would be the question, right?
Okay, and here I'm going to go off on one of my little rants. So animators, look. Okay, let me talk to you just one-on-one here, right? All right. So I see it kind of from both sides, and I think everyone's a little wrong, to be honest. And that's just my opinion, and everyone will probably be angry at the end of it. Obviously, just coming at it from the Western perspective at the beginning, obviously it's ridiculous to get paid so little. That's why I even did the BuzzFeed interview, because I'm like, I think everyone should know this is craziness. Like any foreign animator that wants to work here in Japan, recognize you're going to earn dollars a day. Like the only reason I could even pay my rent was because I did a side English teaching job in the morning for 2 hours a few times a week, and that all that money paid my rent, and then I earned nothing. I essentially worked for free 17 hours a day doing it. So obviously that's crazy. That's ridiculous. They're nuts here, right? To think that that's normal and sustainable. Some things need to be rethought in this industry. Absolutely. They do need to rethink some things. And what they need to rethink and how this industry could work better could almost be a different video. But I just do agree in general, like, hey, you need to rethink some things if this is the situation, right? Now, that being said, I don't like when the Western animators comment like they're doing it totally wrong, or like everything needs to change. They need to pay their animators X amount and equate it to like the dollar amounts and the work hours from the West. The reason that honestly, anime is so high quality. Yes, you could point to some that aren't high quality, but the reason the really good looking ones look really good is because you have a whole bunch of people working super hard, way harder than, to be honest, the budget would even allow. It might be this big of a budget, and in the West they'd be like, well, that'll only buy you 3 weeks of Monday to Friday, 8 hours a day. But in Japan they'd be like, okay, we only have this, but we still want to make absolute world-class animation. How do we do it? Let's work for barely any money, morning until night for 5 straight months. Hey team, you want to do this? You want to amaze the world with this? Now, no one here is going to barely earn anything. We recognize that beforehand. There's barely any budget for this project. But do you want to shock the world? Hell yeah, we want to shock the world. And then they sit down and it's like, I don't even care if there's nobody behind this. You know, yes, it's my job, but it's also kind of my hobby a little bit. Let's kick ass on this thing. And then they work hard. And if after that work day they only earn $20, they're like, you know what? But I just worked on a project that's going to be world-class animation. That's my life. That's my pride. Who are you to tell me I'm not allowed to do that?
And that's interesting because so if you look at it, because then people say, well, no, that's not right because we do world-class stuff and we get paid. Like that would be the response, right?
Yeah.
Like, so we do world-class stuff and we get paid just that. But you can obviously you can't compare 3D animation and the gaming industry and stuff to 2D animation.
Yeah.
Because there are you know, you can look at events in the past that essentially prove this fact. Like, why did Disney close their 2D animation department? And why is there no 2D animation department now in America? At least with in-between. All the in-betweens and things are done overseas because they can't afford to pay people for it.
You know, there's 2 types of people that are going to be watching this video. Animators, right? And not animators, but fans. Yeah. To the fans first. Do you realize that America produces almost no 2D animation because of this exact problem? Like, you can't pay people the normal price and get any kind of
it would just be astronomical price.
Yeah. To get good quality, the price would be ridiculous. Even the Western industry absolutely needs it, would not be able to breathe without the Asian industry that works the way that I just described. Yeah. So even The Simpsons, even SpongeBob SquarePants, you think, oh, SpongeBob, that's an American cartoon. Is it? It's storyboarded and written in the West, maybe, but no animator had a job doing that. Maybe one person or something out there. But, like, no, the whole thing's animated here under the work ethic I just said, right? And to the animators, you know, guys, I love you. I am one of you. I was going to say I was one of you, but I am one of you, right? Guys, the stuff being produced here, with the exception of a couple little key things like Castlevania, it's all just better here in the West. The stuff you're producing in the West is not the same quality, and that's the difference. And for everyone saying, "Oh my God, how dare you, Henry?" You know, well then you and I have a different opinion. I absolutely think Japanese anime and the stuff that they're producing here looks 800 million times better than almost any production in the West.
And it's interesting because because there are good things that come out the West, but then there are astronomical prices, right? Like that's the Spider-Man. Well, actually, that's like 3D, right? Most of it's 3D, but
I feel like the exceptions prove the rule. Yeah, you have Klaus and you have the Spider-Man movie, but those are astronomical, budgeted, and very.
Klaus, that wasn't even. Was that American?
PAs, yeah, or maybe it was Western. It was absolutely Western. It wasn't. It wasn't.
That's right. Yeah, we're saying West.
It wasn't the.
All the Western games, so France.
But just a completely and utterly unique project. There's no especially for television work. Like, look at just all the TV series.
We don't want to get into bashing the West because there are good things coming out. But like, so what we're trying to say is that because the question is why do you have these crazy hours? Because it's almost like the industry kind of demands and it puts that pressure on Asia, right? So it's almost like the only way that we would be able to pay the artists here more is the West would have to pay more. Yeah. Right? So like you guys would have to actually pay us more money, right? Pay us more to create the things that you want, right? And then we can kind of pay the artists a little bit more. Although I will say that obviously you can there are kind of things that are set in place here that kind of, because you can't just put the blame on the West, right? But because I think you can essentially pay the artists here a little bit more. You know,
there's tons of problems here, and there's tons of problems within the anime industry. Yeah, but it's where
how much can you pay in between if we're drawing thousands of drawings, right? So each of those drawings can't be $100 per drawing. That would just be this insane thing. But so then it's okay, well, with working condition, how can the artist go home earlier? So then some people will say, well, yeah, but then the computer can do it. But that is the issue, right? So now you have slagging and all this stuff. So, which is what happens in the West, right? And so that's a totally different type of animation.
The West looks for, and I know this because I work there, right? Yes, everyone needs to go home by a certain time, and we can't extend the deadline and things like that. And so, how do we get this done quick? I mean, it would be nice to have this crazy detailed sequence, but realistically, we can't. And so, it's a simple slide in Flash or Harmony or something like that, right? Or the character needs to be super simplified. Hey, it'll just be their face with the lips flapping, and a super simple drawing of it. But whatever, we got to finish it. In Japan, it's like, well, no, I want this crazy additional action sequence. Well, we don't have the budget or the time for it. Well, then all of us will just work really hard just to do it, right? And I feel like the reason I disagree with Western animators on this from time to time is like, I'm on your guys' side in the sense that, yes, this industry it shouldn't pay so little, right? Of course, I want animators to live good lives, and I want to live good lives and be paid well. But I don't want you to also take away from me or any of the animators here the ability to say, you know what? I want to work for free on a Saturday to make this sequence even better because I just want to. Because I mean that is the case for me. I didn't need to add extra layers of shadow on some of my sequences. I just didn't. That wasn't I could have handed it in without it. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to stay here an extra maybe 5 hours. I'm going to put extra layers of shadow on everything. And you want to know why? Because it'd be badass. And I feel like the animators, sometimes they're trying to make a point of the animators need to go home like that. If they got exactly what they were asking for, my boss would have to come over to me and be like, no, you need to leave. You can't do that extra work because of contractual blah, blah, blah. And I'd go home kind of pissed. I wanted to work on that longer.
Yeah, actually, I'm not going to name the studios, but I was working on a production, and so some years ago, and then I remember we got a contract. This was a Sunday, so we're all sitting there painting some backgrounds on Sunday, and then we got this paper that came down from the administration of that studio, and it was essentially it was saying, from here on out, you can no longer stay on the weekends. Everyone must go home by I think it was I think it just said weekends. They didn't name that. They didn't state a time. So now, so we're obviously on the weekend, not because they told us to come on the weekend. We just chose to be there because we still had work to do, and we didn't finish it. We couldn't finish it during the weekday. So, but so it's interesting because it's kind of what Henry's saying, that a lot of artists just kind of work.
They want to work on their stuff more. They want to make it look
and then it's difficult, so because you can't pay them for that, right?
Yeah.
So the. Oh man, I had another point. You just said something now. I wanted to say something.
Sorry.
What was I gonna say?
You're talking about the letter came in and then you were.
Yeah. The letter came in and everyone had to stay. Everyone had to leave and things like that. And then I remember all the artists and the art director was like, "What is this? This is crazy. We can't stay here anymore on the weekends. But we need. How can we go home if we haven't finished? And then, so it wasn't." Everybody wasn't yay, woohoo, let's go home. That wasn't the sentiment, right?
Yeah.
And so it's interesting because in the West, there was a few articles, I won't say the names of the studios and things, but I was reading them where people were complaining about the crazy work hours for, I think it was a game company, a game that just came out. Of course, everyone's situation was a bit different. I assume that it was just that they were running out of time, so they had to kind of stay over. But so it's when is it the responsibility of the artist and I guess and then the companies, right?
And there is a balance that needs to be made on that.
Yeah, obviously the industry as a whole in Japan does have to kind of figure out some ways to balance it out, right? Because there are solutions, right? It could be better schedules, right?
So two things. You know what I think as an animator. You know what I would want, and you know what I would not need. I want better schedules so that it's not this all has to be done by next Tuesday. Are you crazy? That is such a ridiculous schedule. Why can't this be a month, right? Because then I could slowly work on something nice. And I would like just more money, just the prices to be better. Like the dollar per page is ridiculous. I don't mind spending the hour or two for the in-between, let's say, but like can't the budget of the overall thing just focus on making sure the animators down the line get paid better? So those two things I would specifically ask for, and I would fight for. I'd be like, I'd be out there picketing, right? What I don't need though, which is what I see sometimes, is like, and specific work hours. That, you know what? Let me work until I'm satisfied with my sequence. Is my, like, don't worry about those crazy long hours. To be honest, I'm okay with it, and I really feel like almost everyone in this industry is okay, from background through animators. Like, we enjoy working on this stuff, and we want to come in on the weekends if our sequence isn't done and we think we can make it better. But at the very end, I would like to see a nice bigger paycheck for all that hard work. So that's kind of where my balance is.
Yeah, and I think Japan's kind of starting to change. Obviously, there's newer projects and things coming in with a little bit better budgets and things like that. So, what can we say? But that's that.
All right, I guess we'll leave it there for now, but definitely more on this probably in the future. This is always on our minds.
Yeah. We'll see what everyone's comments are.
Yeah. Put your comments below, and if there's some interesting ones, maybe we'll address them in the future or make a whole topic out of it even.
Yeah. So as we always say, Shtajio ga daiji.
Shtajio ga daiji. See you guys next time.
Peace.